Sorry about that. The title of our seminar today is How to Outsmart, Outmarket, and Outsell Competitors in the Title Industry. We're going to talk about the title marketing that works system, and I'm going to briefly just give you an idea of what we do so you understand that before we get into the seminar. We do one-to-one consulting. We do strategic and tactical marketing plans, lead generation, systemization. We also do sales process development, help you with systemization in your sales process, documentation in your sales process, goals, scripts, even compensation and HR related things if that's something that you need help with. And then we also have the sales automation system, the title marketing that works sales automation system. What we're going to talk about today mainly focuses on the one-to-one consulting that we do. And what we're going to talk about is the marketing equation. And we'll be getting into that very soon. But here's a quote from Peter Drucker. Because of the nature of business, it has just two functions and only two, marketing and innovation. Marketing and innovation make money. Everything else is a cost. And this is a quote that I'd like you to think about as we go through the presentation and how it applies in certain situations to the things that we discuss. So I may mention it a couple of times as we go through as well, but because of the nature of business, it has just two functions and only two, marketing and innovation. Marketing and innovation will make money for you. Everything else is a cost. We're going to talk about the marketing formula and really talking about how that relates to title marketing. The marketing formula never changes. It's based on unchanging true principles. It can be systematized and used the same way for any kind of company in any kind of industry. When some of the factors change, we don't have to wonder what to do. It's just like arithmetic. And as I was saying, working with real estate agents, working with mortgage lenders, working with different folks, you find that the principles are all the same. Even when I started to work with my first company in New York, and New York is an attorney state as well, and we're really marketing to attorneys. When I started talking to the company about what they thought attorneys' hot buttons were when working with the title company, they're the same hot buttons or activators, as we'll talk about in a few minutes, that anybody has, that a real estate agent has when working with the title company, that a mortgage lender has in working with the title company. Their hot buttons are all the same. So the marketing formula really will work in any industry, even other industries. It's simple. As long as you understand the principles, you can still complete the formula. Just like 4 plus 3 is 7, with the marketing marketing formula, you'll never get it wrong as long as you understand the principles. Today we're going to talk about the marketing formula. That's what this seminar is going to be about. The marketing formula has 4 components: interrupt, engage, educate, and offer. When you interrupt, you want to get qualified prospects to pay attention, and it's important that they're qualified as well. Certainly, you want to engage them, get those who do pay attention to remain interested. We want to educate, in other words, give them enough information to make the prospect feel like they can make the best decision. And that's what really marketing is it's decision facilitating information. And then we want to make an offer. We want to get the prospect to take action based on the information given. We want them to do something. And that's really, when you look at these 4 components, you got to get them to pay attention, and then you got to get them to take action. If you don't interrupt and you don't offer, you might as well throw all your marketing out the window. Who just joined us there?
Hey Chris, sorry, it's Margo. I didn't know you all were going on. I was listening to a beat or something. I must have called the wrong number.
Okay, good. No problem. No problem. We're going to keep going, and I can even send you a recording if you need it. You've just missed a few things. Okay, we're talking about the marketing equation, what we're going to get into: interrupt, engage, educate, and offer. And I'm going to go through each one of these points individually. The first thing we're going to talk about is interrupt, and interrupt is the longest one. So as I'm going through and you're thinking, is this going to go on forever? Interrupt is the longest one, and it's important to understand how your customers' brain works if you want to effectively interrupt, and that's why it takes a little bit of time. You have to understand how your customer's brain works. We're going to think about 3 major concepts: alpha mode, beta mode, and the reticular activating system. Alpha mode is the subconscious running of patterns in your life that allow you to function without engaging your brain. Your brain's usually on autopilot or power save. Your mind can solve problems or fix discrepancies at this level, and everyday routines and habits come from alpha mode. You're not consciously aware of what you're thinking or doing. Kind of like on autopilot, the things that you can do. Here's some examples of alpha mode, and I think the first one here is really the key example. Have you ever driven to work and when you get there realize you hadn't seen a thing along the way? Does that ever happen to anybody? It's kind of scary. It really is. I've never had a seminar where people didn't agree with that statement. It's kind of the thing. If you could do it in your, I could do it in my sleep. That's what we really call alpha sleep. And the thing about alpha mode in marketing is that it creates a state of apathy towards any marketing or advertising. Your target market is literally oblivious to nearly all the marketing messages. Communication isn't even noticed in the first place, and you have no chance to sell. Your job in marketing your company is to break your target market person out of this state. You've got to get them to snap awake. Okay, beta mode, that's the next thing. Alpha mode, now beta mode, is the state of active mental engagement. You're aware of what you're thinking and doing. You're interested and eager. You're in a state of active problem solving and learning. Beta mode in marketing, the same thing. You notice marketing. You actively seek out information. You're open to ideas and suggestions about how to solve a problem. And that's, when you get down to it, that's what you're doing, is you're solving a problem for somebody. If it's an attorney, if it's, a customer, you're solving their problem of getting their real estate processed in a legal and safe way. And in beta mode, they're going to read or absorb as much information as necessary to make the best decision. And that's what people are doing all the time. They're making what they feel to be the best decision when they come to your company. Third thing we want to talk about is the reticular activating system. Your brain's always subconsciously scanning the environment for anything that's familiar or connected. Okay, it could be recent beta mode things, old beta mode things, anything threatening or dangerous, or anything incongruous or not consistent. So that's what's going on. You're in alpha mode, and your reticular activating system is kind of scanning the horizon, looking for things. It's the attention center of the brain, and the key to turning on your brain, and it seems to be the center of motivation. It's the part of your brain where the world outside you and your thoughts and feelings inside meet. An activator is anything that snaps a person from alpha mode to beta mode. It breaks the pattern. Okay, some examples of that, and I think even a bigger example than the ones that are on here that I like to talk about is if we go back to when we talked about driving to work in alpha mode, and you can kind of do it. You don't get into an accident. You often drive to work. You never remember passing that McDonald's or going through that light if it was red or green, whatever it might be. But if you're driving to work and there's a bad accident or there's something unusual, a traffic jam, something like that, you're going to remember that a lot more. If it usually takes you 20 minutes to get to work and it takes you an hour to get to work because of a traffic jam, you're certainly going to remember part of your ride. Other examples that we have here, maybe the smell of a certain kind of perfume or cologne reminds you of a certain person, or a song. Why this is one of the reasons why we see now Fortune 500 companies using songs that were popular in the 60s and the 70s to advertise their product, because it's an activator for people that are in their target market. It may not be a good activator, and we'll learn about that a little bit later in the seminar, but when you hear Cadillac using Led Zeppelin, who would have ever thought that Cadillac would be using Led Zeppelin or Jaguar would be using The Clash? But, these are bands that folks in that target market still listen to. Classic rock radio is still a somewhat valid format. And, people hear the songs and they look up at the TV screen. Now, I'm not saying that that's going to make you go out and buy a car, but it's going to make you at least look. And that's what they're hoping for, I think, in that situation. I did a seminar a couple of months ago in Florida, and one of the people was talking. I hadn't heard it, but evidently Cadillac has dropped using Led Zeppelin because they didn't find it to be successful. And maybe it's because of what you'll learn today that you'll understand why. So anyway, this is what activators are. They're things that are going to snap you from alpha mode to beta mode. Now we're going to look at activators in marketing. They get you to pay attention. They snap the prospect into consciousness to pay attention to your marketing. They break the pattern. It can be accomplished with any of the following. Pictures, we certainly see celebrities in marketing, funny things, cute things, shocking things. One of the shocking things is the VW commercials. You all familiar with the VW commercials where there's an accident? Do you remember the first time you saw those? Anybody? You haven't seen them? You guys are so busy you're not watching TV, right? So much title business. Well, anyway, it's a commercial where somebody's driving along, just having a conversation, and all of a sudden they're in a major accident in their VW. And what the point is how safe a VW is in a collision, but it's quite shocking. Sounds, jingles. The Intel sound, you hear that all the time, or words that paint a mental picture, or really any combination of those above. If you can use pictures and words together, you can be a lot more effective in your presentation. But these are what activators are in marketing. So we've talked about alpha mode and alpha mode in marketing, beta mode and beta mode in marketing, and now we're into the reticular activating system and things that will register in your reticular activating system in regard to marketing. Okay? And I was talking about hot buttons a little while ago and talking about how comparable they are from industry to industry. An activator must be based on something that gives the prospect an emotional charge. Identify what problems, frustrations, annoyances, confusions, hidden troubles that people have in buying what you sell. What are the frustrations that people have when they're dealing with the title company? What are the annoyances? What are the hidden troubles that may come up? And then come up with specific, relatable scenarios that illustrate these frustrations. These are your hot buttons. Everybody with me here? Okay. Okay, so this is an example, and this isn't the most in-depth example, and we'll get into other examples in the future. But just thinking about real estate settlements, okay, some of the problems that come up, and you guys hear this all the time, I'm sure. Poor communications, mistakes, not closing the deal, folks not getting paid quickly. Can you think of any other problems or frustrations that people have? That pretty much cover it? Just, getting payoffs, things like that? Maybe... What's that? Certainly, yeah. Certainly. And then, there are things like scheduling, where, the client can only meet at 7 o'clock at night, and the company's open from 9 to 5, things like that. But, the situation is that real estate agents, mortgage lenders need to use a title company to close their deals. So the hot buttons, as I mentioned before, those are the problems. The problems are the same as the hot buttons. And then when this scenario is portrayed in pictures, sounds, and or words, it'll enter the reticular activator of the people who've experienced that problem and snap them from alpha mode to beta mode. So if you're an attorney and you're tired of the title company that you work with always showing up with having people that are just not friendly and not helpful and that sort of thing, and you talk about that, people are going to pay attention to it. They've experienced that before. So here's a hot button, and this is really a hot button that we found out early on when I started working with the first company that I worked with. It was here in Maryland, and our target market in Maryland is real estate agents and mortgage lenders. And we did the first thing that I'll do with you when we work on one-to-one consulting, and you can do this yourself, and I would encourage you to do this, would be to go out and do some focus groups with real estate agents or mortgage lenders, or whoever your target market is. If it's attorneys, if it's consumers, Give a call to the last 10 people who did closings with you and find out if they had any issues. We heard real estate agents, and the situation here. Sometimes the real estate agents don't even understand the HUD-1. But, here we have the secrets of the HUD-1 revealed. Are you tired of showing up at settlement and not understanding the HUD-1? This was more consumer-oriented, but it was real estate agent-oriented as well. Are you tired of hearing your clients walk out of settlement muttering under their breath? Did you understand that closing form? What was that $600 charge for? So if this is, something that person has ever experienced, they're going to relate to it and say, maybe these guys have made it better. And there are lots of these, and this is just one. But this is, kind of how you want to, the direction that you want to send your marketing in. Especially here you have the interrupt, secrets of the HUD-1 revealed. Hits your HUD button. You guys have any questions? Yeah, I'm going to have that later on after we learn all four, and I'll show you how to pull them all together. We have several pieces. Okay, the relationship between activators and hot buttons. An activator is anything that snaps a person from alpha mode to beta mode. It doesn't need to be based on anything in particular. It literally could be anything, like we were talking about before, where people use music as activators, that sort of thing. But to be effective in marketing, an activator has to be based on a hot button. If not, the prospect will quickly revert to alpha mode, and you're going to lose your marketing opportunity. So if you don't catch them right away and it's something meaningful to them, you're going to lose the opportunity. If it's not relevant, it either won't work or the prospect will quickly revert to alpha mode, and then still again it won't work. And these are some examples of what we call false betas. This is an example. I'm sorry. Have you ever been in a crowded room and heard your name called out from across the room? How do you react? Your name is an activator, so it's going to pull you out of alpha mode and into beta mode. What happens when you discover that they were actually calling out to someone else with the same name? Then you may go back into alpha mode. But if you're in sales, maybe you try to engage them in conversation anyway. Who knows? They might be a future customer. But that's an example of a false beta. So you guys pretty much understand what we're talking about when we talk about interrupt? Any questions? How to get people's attention in your marketing? I encourage you to go out and look too when you're looking at marketing, because sometimes you'll see good interrupts, and then you'll see some, and sometimes they may be false betas though too. That's what the Led Zeppelin music in the Cadillac commercial is. It's really a false beta. You hear the Led Zeppelin music, you think, oh, Led Zeppelin's on TV. You look up, it's a Cadillac commercial. I don't care about Cadillacs, and you look back down. Okay, in the 4-hour seminar that we do, I get into the history of marketing and really talk about how this has all changed and how we've become such a brand-conscious marketing world where branding is important. And branding isn't going to be successful unless you got millions of dollars to spend and a lot of time to wait for things to work. The second element of the marketing formula is engage. This is a pretty quick one. Once you've struck an emotional chord with the headline, now you need to get the reader engaged. You do this with headlines and subheadlines that promise the reader that if they keep reading the ad, they will get information that will facilitate their making the best decision. Not sales info, but decision facilitating info. Hold on one quick second, please. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. That usually doesn't happen. Okay, once you've gotten them engaged, then you want to take headlines and subheadlines that'll promise the reader that if they keep reading the ad, they'll get information that'll facilitate their making the best decision. Not sales information, but really decision facilitating information. Okay, that's a quick one. And engage is really just a follow-up on interrupt. And usually when we do this in printed pieces, and you'll see this soon, we have the headline and then a sub-headline underneath that kind of ties in with that. So interrupt and engage kind of tie together. The third part of the marketing formula is educate. Once you've engaged the prospect on an emotional level, now it's time to give information that appeals to his logic. Give the prospect information that will prove the claims you've made while interrupting and engaging. You want to build your case. You want to give the prospect all the information they need to feel in control of the decision, give them the confidence to move forward in the buying process. And in advertisements, you can do this in the body copy. Sometimes you're limited by the amount of space that you may have. You could also use it. You can use marketing tools to further educate. Audio CDs, videos, websites, brochures. That's what I do with my business. And there are other things that you can do as well. Seminars are another thing to do. Have any of y'all ever done seminars with your target market? No, it's a very good thing to do, and in some places, if you can get certified to do continuing education credits, that's even more helpful. But often, like with me, I have the Effective Title Marketing Kit. I have an audio CD and a demonstration of the software that I have. But you use marketing tools to further educate, and people respond to those. You've got to build your case in the educate part just as an attorney would, where your prospect to the jury, your product or service is the defendant, you're the attorney in charge, and it's a life or death sentence for your business. It really is, because if you don't do a good job of marketing your company, you're not going to have the success that you really should have. Okay, here you can see, these are a couple of bad ads. We'll see these first, and I'm going to go through these fairly quickly. But one of the things, and don't advertise in the newspaper. Well, if you're going for consumers, you may want to do that. So don't let me say never. But if you're going to do that, don't put a big picture of you in your car in the ad, because it just takes up a lot of space that you could be talking about what you could be doing about your business. Here again, I actually put this in another not good one, but after-hour and mobile in-home settlements, and I thought that was good that they were educating their people. But again, pretty sparse, doesn't follow the marketing equation, but there is a little bit of education in here. Okay, and then the last part of the marketing formula is offer. Okay, every marketing piece should contain a risk-lowering offer to encourage the prospect to take the next step in the sales process. It should be obvious, easy to understand, and easy to see. And coupon style works. The offer can be for more information via marketing tools, bonuses or premiums, special offers for first-time users. And this next point is probably the most important point of the seminar. The offer allows you to capture future buyers in addition to now buyers, and that allows you to control your target market. And let me talk about that a little bit more in depth. What do you guys think in your market? Here, put on your thinking caps here for a second. I'll warn you. Within your market, let's say your market is 100%. There's a big pie, it's 100%. What percentage of the people in your target market are ready to change title companies today? Anybody got an idea? 2%. 2%, that's a good number. That's right. Well, that's where you got to come up with the right offer there, right? But I think, it's a very low percentage. Do you understand what I'm saying? And if you could get a list of who that 2% was, you could do really well, couldn't you? But you can't. Yeah, exactly. You can't do that. Or it's very, very difficult to do. And what you want to do with your offer is get people who may not be interested today, but might be interested in the future, to also respond to your marketing. So they kind of raise their hand and say, maybe I'm interested. And I kind of look at it this way, that generally people will give a company 3 mistakes, and and then they'll leave. Maybe two, sometimes one if they're really fussy. But, the first time they have a big problem with the title company, they say, oh, it's just an aberration. They're usually pretty good. The second time, they may think it's a trend. And then the third time, they're going to be out of there because they can't afford to have any more upset clients and losing business that way. So if you can be there when that third strike happens, then they're going to come to you if you do a good job of keeping in touch with them on a regular basis. So when you do a lead generation piece, and most of what we're talking about today, you would do in a lead generation piece, and you have a strong offer in there. And that's what, with the first lead generation piece I did with the title company, we sent out 1,500 postcards to all the members of the real estate association in our target market area, and we got 105 responses from that. And it was because we had a great offer. It was a valuable offer, but it was a very legitimate offer. It was a guy, this was a couple of years ago, so we didn't have the technology where people could go online and estimate closing costs and that sort of thing. But this was really a guide that we gave to people that allowed them to estimate closing costs, to learn who to call in homeowners associations, that sort of thing. People really liked it. We ended up giving out over the year, that would have been 05, we gave out over 600 of them to people. But your offer allows you to capture those future buyers. So when they're ready to buy, you know who they are, and you can market to that. You've been marketing to that person on a regular basis. And this is really where the sales automation system comes in and how it all kinds of fits together, because you generate leads with a marketing piece with the marketing formula. Then once you get those leads, you start talking to that person on a regular basis through written communication or email or phone calls or whatever. So when the time comes for them to change title companies, you'll be the top of mind company. Do y'all understand that? Okay. So that's kind of, whoops, my computer. So here we go. Here we go into some pieces that we've done. This is taking that same Secrets of the HUD-1 Revealed and bringing it in to a postcard that we did. And the postcards that I usually recommend people to do are 6 by 11. They're pretty big, and we usually do them in bold colors. 6 by 11 is the biggest size you can use with the post office and still pay first-class rate. And it also kind of sticks out in the mail that you have. So when you're dealing with the printer, the difference between an 8.5 by 5.5 postcard and the cost of a 6 by 11 isn't much. Your postage isn't going to be any different, but you're going to get an interrupt of having a big postcard, so it's going to stick out in the mail a little bit. You make it brightly colored, and then you also have more room to put out your message. So here's the headline, here's the interrupt, Secrets of the HUD-1 Revealed. You flip over the postcard on the back, and here we go again. We repeat the headline, and here's our engage. Are you tired of showing up at settlement and not understanding the HUD-1? So we go through that. A little bit of education here, really just talking about how we solve this problem. And then we have the offer right here. Send me the free guide to your settlement statement. This was, something that helps them understand the HUD-1 a little bit more. Fax it, call, or email. And we actually have it now with this company where you can go on the website as well and request this information. And we get most of the requests, about 75 or 80% of the requests come on the website right now. So does that give you a little bit of an idea of the marketing formula? Do you understand how it all works together here? I'm going to keep going. There's a couple others. That isn't the only one. But here again we have, and I've got to change these around. We ended up with 2 secret headlines here in our demonstration. But learn the secrets of real estate marketing and make more money. One of the things that that your target market, be it attorneys, be it mortgage lenders, or real estate agents. Now, consumers are a little bit different, but they want to save money, that sort of thing. But real estate agents, mortgage lenders, and attorneys all want to make more money. That's kind of why they're in the business that they're in, because they want to make a lot of money. So anything that you can do to appeal to them in that way is good. And what we did here is we put together with this company Alltech University, which was a series of seminars that we put together to help real estate agents serve their clients better and make more money. And the first class was Successful Real Estate Marketing Strategies and Tactics, and I did it when I did my master's thesis. I did the thesis on successful real estate marketing strategies and tactics. So I have a little seminar that I can do on it as well. So we present this as a class for real estate agents. They come to our seminar, and we also, so we have this, we have interrupt, we have engage, a little bit of educate about what we're doing, and then here's the offer down here. We also gave people $100 off their settlement. I'm not saying that you certainly have to do that, and in certain places that may not be something you can do, but this customer liked to do that, and we could do it. Understand too that think about how you want the marketing formula to work. You want it to go kind of as people read as well, and in the English-speaking world, we read left to right from the top to the bottom. So you kind of want your marketing to flow from the top here to the bottom here. That's why we have the coupon down at the bottom. In postcards, you can't put it in the bottom right because you need to put the address there. But this is another format. This was actually a flyer that we put together to hand out at a trade show, a real estate agent trade show, and we got about 14 real estate agents to come to this seminar, and they didn't get credit for it. You'll do a lot better if you can figure out how they can get credit for it. You have to work with the educational entity there. This is something that we did for mortgage folks. Order your settlements in the comfort of your own home or at the beach. iOrder Express. iOrder Express is a part of Title Express software that allows you to do things online. Most of y'all, do you have access to online so folks can do online settlements, that sort of thing? Does anybody have that now? Yeah. Okay, yeah, it's pretty common. So this was for mortgage lenders. That was the front. Let me go back. Whoops. That was the front of the postcard. Order your settlements online, that sort of thing. Guy at the beach, just a little bit of an interrupt, not critical. Do it online. Let Alltech handle your settlements 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now you can request a settlement anytime, any day or night. Blah blah blah. A little bit of education information in here, and then what we did. And the other thing with this was they were also having a problem with folks not using the online process. And if they use the online process, it can save the office some time, which also means you can save a little money doing it online as well. And it's also better service. You can provide a little bit higher level of service. But what we found out when we surveyed some of the mortgage lenders is they really didn't understand how to do it. So that's why we put this guide to online settlements in here as well. And so this was a way that they could learn how to use the online settlement system very easily. It was it ended up being about a 15, 16-page book, and we had it in PDF format, and we had burned it on some CDs as well, and we were able to send it to people very easily so they could learn how to do it. When we did this, we also did this in the real estate market, and we were actually able to get into offices to do presentations to real estate agents about the online system, and that was great. I mean, there's situations now where offices, 75-80% of the people are using it in the office because they went through the seminar. But this is the best way to present your marketing pieces. You interrupt, engage, educate, and offer. It's going to get people to pay attention. What's the worst that can happen if somebody who doesn't want to do business with you right away requests the guide to online settlements? You send them the information, you keep in touch with them on a regular basis. Sooner or later, they might want to make a change. You'll be the one that they go to. And the other thing that you have going on in this situation as well is the law of reciprocity. You've done something for them. You provided them with something that is that's of value to them, and maybe they want to reciprocate by doing a little business with you. So you guys have any questions? Let me ask you this. Let's say that you did this, and then you get, let's say you did this postcard. You just did it verbatim, and I'll send you guys the PowerPoint slides in PDF format after we're done here, so you'll have each slide. But let's say you did this and somebody responded. Do you all have a database for your clients and prospects now? Anybody? You do. What are you using? How about, what's that, David? So who's, Annette, are you using Goldmine?
I'm evaluating Goldmine as we speak.
Okay. And then David, what were you? Excuse me, say that again?
We use Contactual.
Okay, I'm not familiar with that one.
It's very similar to Goldmine on a much smaller scale.
Okay. Okay, and then David, how about you?
I use Elton.
Okay.
We have a proprietary settlement software that has contact database in it also.
Okay. And how about you, Marga?
We use Goldmine.
Goldmine? Okay. What I'm gonna show you now is our sales automation system that currently works. Currently works with Act and Outlook. I closed it down. Hold on a second. I'm in the middle of doing some letters for a company, and I apologize here, guys. Usually I have this right here. Just take a second. I closed it out so I could change the database, and then I didn't change it. Yeah, how long have you been using Goldmine, Margo?
Well, I was using it in my printing and marketing business before Lee opened his own title company.
Okay.
I've personally been using it for about 7 years, and we've been using it for about 6 months in the new company.
So you must be an expert.
Well, I don't know about that. Not when it comes to the title company, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, I've been using Act for, since I started my own business, and I actually, came across this sales automation system software with, and when I'd already used Act, so I was like, wow, this thing is great, and it works with Act. And now it works with Outlook as well. It doesn't work with Goldmine yet, but I know that they're going in that direction. But I'm not sure if they're going to try to get it to be working with Salesforce.com before Goldmine. But it works with Act and it works with Outlook. And I have it installed on both. I have both the Outlook and the Act version installed. You might want to, for you, Annette, you might want to take a look at Act as well.
Yeah, I've actually used Act in a previous position.
Yeah, and there's a new version, 2007, that just came out. That's this client that I'm working with now that I'm doing the letters. We just installed 2007. So this is Act, and this is a database of real estate agents. It could be really anybody. Act is a very powerful customer relationship management software that you can customize yourself. Very easy, and it's very reasonable as well. Right now, the standard version, it all depends on how many users you want to have, but you can use up to 10 users with the standard version, and they actually have it on sale at Staples this week for like $199 with a $100 rebate, so it's $99 for the new version. So it's relatively inexpensive as well. If you're using Outlook, I'd say stick with it if it's working for you. Outlook is pretty good for it as well. But this is Act. It allows you to keep information. You can set up groups. You can set up companies. It has a calendar, email. It even has a web browser in it. I don't use the web browser. But you can keep notes on people with whatever you'd like. I have not very good speller here, but these are notes that I've just used in demonstration. Keeps history of everything that goes on with your contacts. Activities, opportunities are kind of like when you make a proposal to somebody. You can do groups and companies, secondary contacts, like their assistants, that sort of thing. Attach documents to records. If you want to attach a proposal to the record, you can do that. This is just kind of some maintenance info. You can customize the fields if you'd like. Here we've customized it to match with the sales automation system and the different levels of prospects that we set. You can put home address information, that sort of thing. What really makes ACT incredibly powerful and automates the whole process is Activator, which powers the Title Marketing That Works sales automation system. And this is a system that allows you to keep in touch with your prospects and clients on a regular basis without them falling through the cracks. So once you set somebody in a certain direction, they're going to stay in that direction until you decide to make a change. Okay, and in that case, let's say we had that postcard that we just did, and we were going to send the person the iOrder guide, that shows them how to do online settlements, that sort of thing. So we would go ahead and send that to them, and then what we would want to do next is give them a call. So after we send them what they want, we'll just set this on initial call notice, and we'll call that person back. And here I actually have myself, because I'm the person who's the user of this database. But now there's a reminder in here, and let's say since we're sending it on October 11th, we don't want to call them until October 18th. So basically what that means is on October 18th we're going to get an email to tell us to give this person a call and make sure that they received their iOrder guide, and then do a little bit of feeling out as to what level prospect we may think this person is. And what we might want to do is try to make an appointment with that person at this time. And if we'd say we're with Title Marketing That Works, we'd like to sit down and talk to you a little bit about the service that we offer. We think we could help you with your settlements, that type of thing. At that point, they're either going to say, "Sure, I've been kind of tired of my current title company. I'd like to talk to you about that." So at that point, they would say yes, and we just scroll down here, and we have a number 47 letter. Number 47 letter is an appointment confirm letter. It's going to flash up this little box on the screen. That's going to say, that's going to make an appointment confirm notice. We're going to call it a meeting. We're going to have that meeting on, let's say, October 25th at 12 noon. We're going to have lunch with them. We're going to, maybe we're going to do it for an hour. So we'll do this for 1 hour. If we wanted to put an alarm on the calendar, we could do that. We're going to send this via email. We could send it as a letter with an envelope, a letter with no envelope. We could send it as an email, or we could send it as a fax. And we're going to just type down here in the regarding. It'll be regarding our lunch appointment. See if I can spell here. Okay, and we'll put a period at the end of that, and we'll click OK. And now what it's going to do, and I'll go through the whole process on this one, is it's going to create. Did I set it as an email? It's going to send me an email. I should have sent it as a letter, and then it would. Whoops, yeah, it's not, because I'm not set up to do emails here. Why did I pick email? Sorry about that, guys. Okay. Let's do it again. We'll send it as an envelope. We'll send it on October 25th. We'll just make it 30 minutes, and we're just going to write our lunch. Okay. Click OK. Oops. I'm trying to go too fast here. Okay, so now it's going to go ahead and process this letter for us, and we'll have it with an envelope. I use this activator setup just for demonstrations and product development, and I don't know why I picked email on that one, but I did. I don't know why it's going kind of slow today. Okay, and it's actually, I'm going to create a PDF here so you can see what it looks like but this would be the letter. You can print the letters on your own letterhead if you'd like. You can, what I do with some clients is put their logo at the top of the letter. These are all Word documents, so they can be easily edited and changed, that sort of thing. When people purchase it from me, we customize the letters for your own company. See, here we have the letter here. And we're not going to print an envelope. If we wanted to print an envelope, it would just ask us to print an envelope. But here we have, this is the letter. And, meeting on Wednesday, October 25th, 12 noon, regarding our lunch appointment. That's what they'll look like. And they're all very similar to this. If, let's say, oops, go on. Okay. Let's say, so we called them and we set up an appointment. So that's one thing that they could say. The other thing they could say would be, no, I'm not interested. I'm happy with the company that I'm doing business with. I'm really not interested. And then at that point you'd say, well, would you mind if I just kept in touch with you? Which, generally people are going to say, sure, go ahead. Well, you would then make a decision based on, how much you want to try to get this person to be a customer of yours. Whether you want to put them on a 1-year wait letter path, so that means, we would double click on this number 140, and that means we're going to send them a letter. It says, thank you for speaking with me, blah, 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 I'll keep in touch as we discussed. And it goes through, and you've got, you just have to run this thing once a week, every day, whatever you'd like to do, and it's going to print out these letters. The first one, it's going to print out today, then the next one would be in 49 days, and the one after that in 49 days, and then the third one would be 49 days later, and then you have an optional call notice. At this point, you could just give them a call if you wanted to. Say, this is Chris Ripley, just touching base with you, seeing if you had any interest in maybe bringing us a closing and giving us a try, that type of thing. And it's going to go right through. We have a 1-year wait letter path, 9-month, 6-month, 3-month wait letter path. Let's say that you have lunch with them and they decide to do business with you right away. They're ready to go. Then we have a thank you for your business path. And this is a series of letters that thank you for your business. You made a good decision. Maybe you want to give them a call just to see if things are going okay. We have a number of these. We have also client maintenance letters. We have referral letters. That's a great way to get business, is just to ask people for referrals. If you wanted to start off, the first thing that I often have clients do when they purchase this is just start off thanking their current customers. These client maintenance letters. This is just a letter. I'll show you what it looks like. And this one, I'm in the process of editing this, so this one hasn't been edited yet. But I appreciate your business, came across your name today and thought I'd write to let you know how much I appreciate your business. I hope things are going well for you. This is just a great way to start keeping in touch with your clients on a regular basis. They're going to be blown away that you keep it, you're able to do this on a regular basis, kind of like clockwork. Like I said, these are all Word documents, so they're easy to edit and make changes with. All you have to do, you can set, if you go through here, you look, we have lots of people at different points. This person is getting the number 50 letter. The number 50 letter is a TPNC, top producing non-customer introductory letter. This is, if you don't want to do lead generation like we talked about and you just want to use the sales automation system for your lead generation, this is a series of 3 letters that you send to people before you make a cold call. So they've learned a little bit about your company already. You send the first one, and then 7 days later you send the second one, and then 4 days after that you send the third one, and then 4 days after that you make a phone call to see, to set up a time and go through that appointment cycle like we talked about a little bit earlier. This person, Barbara, is not set to get a letter here. Veronica? Okay, here's Darren. Darren's getting the 270 letter. Maybe we just came back from a trade show and we want to send Darren this letter thanking him for stopping by our booth. We'll send them the letter, and then we also want to make sure, what happens with trade show contacts? They fall through the cracks. You never follow up on them. Well, here you're going to send them the letter, and then 5 days later he's scheduled to get a phone call, the number 30, like we had up here at the beginning. So I just lose somebody there? Might have. Okay. So that
Annette.
okay. I'm gonna. So now when you have all these things in here and you have all these people at different points in relationships, all you have to do is click on this automatic follow-up button. You'd click on your name and you click process. It's going through the database now and looking. Oh, I know what I have it set up. This is a new database, and I hold on one quick second here, and I'll show you. I'm not showing the rest because I gotta plan ahead a little bit more here. This is all the you can have up to 6 different sets of letters in here, so that's what I'm putting them all. So all you have to do is click on the automatic follow-up button, click on the process button down here at the bottom. It goes through the database, and so we have 15 letters to print, 15 envelopes to go along with the letters. We don't have any action notices. I guess I changed that one. We have 2 emails to send. Now, if we had any action notices, they would be over here as well. So that's kind of how the whole system works. You just click on the button, it prints them out. It can print them on your letterhead. Click on the button, it'll process your emails. It'll email or print out the action notices. It's how the whole system works. You guys have any questions?
Look like this? Is it similar?
Excuse me?
I was just asking David if his system was similar. I think he said he had like proprietary software or something.
No, it doesn't work like this. No, it's different.
Okay.
Okay, so that pretty much wraps it up. I just want to I'll go through the different things that I do for folks here, and we'll wrap up the seminar. I can help you with one-to-one consulting. I talked about this before. We have mastermind groups, sales process management and development, and then we have the sales automation system. With the one-to-one consulting, it's a 1-year agreement. We give you geographic exclusivity. It includes developing a complete strategic and tactical marketing plan, lead generation, activator action plan, customization, activator licenses, on-site, quarterly visits, weekly conference calls, and that starts off at $17.50 a month. That's the soup to nuts, everything. The second one are the mastermind groups, which is the low-cost alternative to the one-to-one consulting. Basically, we do the same thing, except you do the work, and I teach you how to do it, and you go through it month by month, and you basically do the work that normally I would do in developing it, but you do it yourself. Okay, it starts off at $6,000. It's $1,000 a month, $5,000 if you pay at the beginning of the class. The Virtual Sales Officer program really works on your sales process. It helps you develop an action plan based on the strengths and weaknesses of your process and the skill levels of your team. We launched the sales automation system as well, and these are some of the other things that we do with the Virtual Sales Officer program, going right down the list. I'm not going to hit on each one of those. And then the sales automation system. It's the true core engine for one-to-one marketing. It's a series of automated letters and action notices that can easily cultivate and nurture multiple personal one-to-one business relationships simultaneously. Designed to continually reinforce and enhance your top-of-mind presence, and it's the cure for the common cold call, we kind of call it. You have a shorter selling cycle, reduce turnover of your current customers, increase sales productivity, and increase your customer satisfaction. The system includes customization of the letters, installation, on-site or web-based training, technical support, database development services are available. Starts off at $29.95. If you pay it all up front, it's $29.90. It's $26.95. We can also spread it out over 6 months if you'd like to do that as well. But that really wraps it up. Any questions for anybody? From anybody?
Yeah, I had a couple.
Sure, go right ahead.
Okay. I was just wondering with the Groupon, we're in Kentucky, and it's a lawyer state, so it's not a title company state. And I'm just wondering if with the other people that are online and Chris Richard, Okay, because you all are Commonwealth as well. I don't know if that makes a difference. We are as well.
We're an attorney state.
But you're an attorney state as well.
Yeah.
Okay. So you market to both real estate professionals and the loan officers?
Yeah, my target market are lenders and mortgage brokers.
Okay, lenders and mortgage brokers. Okay, so you don't spend much time marketing to real estate agents then?
Well, I do, but they really don't drive the market up here.
Okay, so it sounds like you've got something similar to what we have here then. How about in Maryland, Chris?
Now, would you repeat your question? I was trying to say that again.
Okay, we're an attorney state, not
Right.
a title company state, and we find in trying to market our new title company that the loan officers and the mortgage brokers are truly the decision makers as to where the closing is going, not the real estate agents, because the lenders tend to be more aggressive about marketing,
Right.
getting the pre-approvals and stuff like that.
Right.
I was just wondering if that was the case in Maryland, or does anybody else online spend a lot
Yeah.
of time marketing to the real estate agent?
See, in Maryland, on home sales, it's the real estate agent that drives it. On refinances, it's the mortgage lender that drives it.
Okay, so you market to both.
Right, exactly, yeah. And we, when I started with the first company, and I've worked with both. When I started, the owner of the company made a conscious decision that she felt that she wanted to go after the real estate market first. But then we went after mortgage folks as well, and it's very easy to make the transition.
Okay. On your marketing consultation, the $6,000 one, what type of commitment are we talking about? Time commitment?
That's a 6-month program.
It's a 6 month. Okay.
Yeah, twice a month for 6 months, and then we also talk individually once during that, once a month as well.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions?
And Chris, so that 6-month one that you were just referring to, I'm not looking for a guarantee, but do you give some sort of, will it be student or the customer a commitment of some sort as to what we can expect if we perform?
Yeah, if you do what we talk about, I would say, with the sales automation system, I'll guarantee it. Okay, I'll guarantee that if you spend the $29.95 and within a year you haven't made back in business at least the price of the software, then I'll refund your money. I'll buy the software back. In that situation, I really can't give you any guarantees, but I can tell you that you certainly you'll get better results than what you're doing right now. And when I say better results, if you're getting average returns, if you do lead generation pieces, the average of direct mail is about 1.5%, and generally we get 3 to 5% response from direct mail pieces.
Can you help formulate those direct mail pieces?
Yeah, we'll do it just like we did today. Basically what we do in the mastermind group is we start off and do some market research and talk about, doing some surveys, learning what the true hot buttons are with your prospects and with your customers, and also looking at your competition to see what they're doing. And then we take that information and develop headlines, for the interrupt, and we develop educate scenarios, and we develop offers, and then we pull all those together and develop marketing pieces. So by the 3rd month, you'll be doing some marketing pieces already. You can even do it faster if you want to move up. And with the mastermind groups, if you want to bring 2 or 3 people in a company for the price of the one fee, I have no problem with that either. Sometimes, you can sit, everybody can sit down at one computer. You can put it on a projector and watch it in the conference room. I have no problem with that.
And for the software package, how many is that a licensed product or?
Yeah, you own once you purchase it, it's yours. So there's no additional fees, whatever. If you want to get service for the next year. If you want to get support, it's $285 the next year for support. But for the $29.95, you own it forever. It's yours.
Put it on as many machines as you want.
No, you can only put it. It'll only work on one machine. It registers via the web.
Okay.
So it'll only work with one user. There, you as you want more users, it gets more expensive. Although the more users, it's cheaper for each user because the main part of the work is customizing the letters for your company. So after the first one, it gets less expensive. One user is $29.95. Two users is $44.95, and then it's $57.95, and that includes training, the support, the whole thing for a year. But it's just one. It's for one user.
And that's an empty database.
Yeah. Now I can help you with that, and usually with clients, if you have your Outlook database already, you're set. If you want to go out and try to do some prospecting and get some lists off the web, or from any industry associations you might be involved in, I can help you get those in the database as well. What I usually do for people setting up their database is I'll charge you $300, and that'll get you through the complete database setup. And if it becomes any more than it's $100 an hour, any more than that, there may be another charge. But generally, I've never had anybody that it was more than 3 hours worth of work to set up their database and have it ready to go. It pretty much can be a turnkey system where, I customize the letters for you. I'll install it on your computer, and then I'll train you on it, and you'll be ready to go the next day. Okay?
And what's your turn time if you participate in that? How long does it take you to get it all set up and rocking and rolling?
About 2 weeks.
Okay.
That's usually because I have a little bit of work ahead. But I'll need information from you, because in that situation, I'm not going to do the market research. I would need to get your marketing pieces. Often people have a lot of good information on their website that's good to put in the letters, that sort of thing. Plus, I have a questionnaire that we would, before I customize the letters, I'd sit down with you and go through the questionnaire to try to learn a little bit more about your business to customize the letters. But it takes about, from the time I get the check, it's about 2 weeks. And you can actually, it doesn't even have to be a check. You can charge it online, however you want to do it. You can get miles on your credit card.
You're going to send us a PowerPoint file and a PDF of what we've looked at already?
Sure, yep.
And an audio, too. Can I get an audio since I missed the first 15 minutes?
I can, I'll send you the whole thing. When you record on GoToMeeting, you get the screen and the audio together, so I'll probably send you the whole thing.
Okay.
And it's
Thank you.
Windows media format, so I don't know if you can.
To contact applications, you think ACT is the best thing to use over the Outlook, unless you've been using Outlook and it works?
Exactly, that's exactly right. If you're starting completely fresh, I would go with ACT. If you've already got Outlook and you're using it and you're happy with it, it's fine. Because people get set in their ways on a database, and to change for the sake of change probably isn't the best.
But your system is automated with either one?
Either one, yes.
Or Outlook?
Yes. Yeah. And yet, you buy one or the other. They're different, but they look exactly the same. You wouldn't know the difference other than, you'd have Outlook behind it versus ACT. Okay, any other questions?
I think that's it for now.
Well, thank you very much, everybody.
All right, take care.
Let me just, before we go, Haley, are you there? Everybody else can leave. If you want.
I thought the meeting was at 4.
Yeah, 4 Eastern time.
No.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Do you want to, what I can do, we'll have another one. I think the next one is on, hold on, let me look at my calendar here. I don't have my other act. set up, because you can come to the next one. I'll make sure that, or I can send you the recording of this one. Um, let me see. I think the next one, 1 hour seminar. Maybe this is the only one. I have to look at my website here. This is terrible, but I thought I had another one of these scheduled. Or maybe I